Hi, it's good to be here. Yes, we have a special guest, and that is the CEO of CSX, Joe Hinrichs. Joe, thanks for being with us today.
Good morning. Thanks, Morgan.
So CSX actually does a lot of work with J.B. Hunt, and when we hear these comments about we're not out of a freight recession yet, how do you see it?
Well, actually, we're seeing, I'd say mixed results overall. Part of the issue is the international intermodal business. So things coming into the ports has been down all year and still down. We've seen that stabilize, but still down year over year. But encouragingly, we've seen growth now for the last several months of domestic intermodal business, which, of course, J.B. Hunt is a big provider of in the U.S. economy. That's been encouraging to us. We showed that in our earnings last night, that for a number of months now, it's been growing year over year, and we're seeing that into the fourth quarter.
That's interesting. I wonder what you attribute that to, because we have a U.S. industrial economy that doesn't really seem to be growing based on the macro data. We know retailers are still working off these higher inventories, so to hear stabilization in that part of the market certainly gets attention.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, there was a significant destocking of inventory, and perhaps that's played itself out. Also, a lot of the things that we touch are more fundamental to the economy, not so much on the retail side, which, of course, is why I think the international intermodal has been down. But our merchandise business, which touches that industrial complex, we've actually grown volumes this year. But I think for CSX, what's playing out is our leading service numbers and the performance we're giving to our customers is bringing volume onto our network. And I think that's why you're seeing our numbers so strong compared to others.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit more. But first, just one more macro question for you, and that is at a time where we are seeing economic data that is holding up and more resilient than I think many folks had expected going into this year. Is that what you're seeing in real time, too, given the fact that you do move so many different types of goods across so many industries here in the U.S.?
Yeah, Morgan, we're encouraged by what we're seeing in the fourth quarter. I don't want to, get too far ahead of ourselves, but in the first three weeks of this month, we've seen growth in sectors that have been stagnant for most of the year. I'm going to specifically chemicals, plastics, where we've seen it's been down all year long. Obviously, coal and automotive and minerals and aggregates continue to be strong. But we're seeing some signs of optimism in the chemical side, which is our biggest sector. So that's one to watch. Pulp and paper is still a little bit short due to housing. We're watching that one as well. But we've seen an encouraging start to the quarter so far.
Okay, I want to get your outlook for pricing. And just as importantly, in a disinflationary environment that can be a double-edged sword, the outlook for costs.
Yeah, so on the pricing side, we've actually been very supportive this year. And, I think people see the value that rail provides both on ESG, but also on the total cost proposition. We have had labor inflation due to the labor contract, which went into force last year, and we're going to see more of that next year. We're running better, which is helping us offset some of those costs. If you look at our sequential costs from second quarter to third quarter, we kept them in line. But there definitely is some inflation on rail ties and all those kinds of things as well. And that's going to continue to eat into our business. We got to get more productive to help offset it.
You're talking about service. That's been a big focus for you at CSX since you took over, improving service metrics. You've been able to take market share. Where is that happening most meaningfully? Is it from your direct competitor in the eastern U.S., Norfolk Southern, which has been dealing with some of its own service and operational issues this year, or is it from the truckers?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything across the board. I mean, you think about automotive. We've gained a couple points of share in automotive. That's largely been based on service. But also the intermodal business I talked about on the domestic side, we're seeing some growth there. We're hearing from our customers that our industry-leading service metrics and performance is leading to them leaning into CSX more. So our customers are very thankful. I was a customer for decades, so I'm never going to lose sight of the fact that our providing great service helps the economy and helps our business and our customers overall.
Yeah, coal held in strong in Q3, volumes of 9%. This was driven largely by export coal, as we see global demand continue to remain resilient for it, both in terms of thermal and met coal, which is used for steel making. Given the geopolitical situation right now, both in terms of that increased demand tied to the war in Ukraine and tensions across the world more broadly right now, does that continue?
Yeah, we think so. We're hearing from our customers that it will. I mean, a lot of it's going to India for steel production with the growth in that economy. And a lot of it's going also to the Eastern Europe. And you can see, obviously, with Ukraine and other things, there's more steel production needed. We're seeing some demand for thermal exports as well. But certainly on the metallurgical coal, prices are up, not where they were last year, but certainly up during the course of this year, and strong demand. So we see that going forward for quite some time.
Okay, I want to shift gears a little bit because you've been through a number of labor negotiations, not just as a new CEO at CSX last fall, when the railroads were going through their negotiations, but also as a top executive at Ford before that. Walk me through how this plays out potentially with the UAW, as we're now 4 weeks into that strike, and we see more facilities, or at least we have in recent days, expanded.
Yeah, Morgan, I think I had the pain and privilege of leading 4 national negotiations with the UAW. So, but every single one of them is unique and different, and this one's obviously very unique. I never thought I'd see the day where a lot of the pain was inflicted on Ford, given the historical relationship with the UAW. It's in both parties' interest to find a solution. Nobody wins if this thing, goes on. The winners are actually the competition. So, obviously, Ford, GM, and Stellantis have to be competitive for the long term to keep investing. But, of course, the UAW workers want their fair share of it as well. So, obviously, we hope there's a solution. We obviously move a lot of automotive. We're the #1 automotive mover in the rail sector, so it's important to us, too. We're watching it very carefully, but we're encouraging both sides to find a resolution, and I'm hopeful they will. I don't see how this benefits anyone if it continues to go like this.
Okay. Joe Hinrichs, great to get your thoughts today. CEO of CSX. Those shares are higher and now higher for the year.